Hey guys, what's going on? Needs more drums back in City Skylines 2 for a fun little challenge sponsored by City Planner Plays. He posted a link that challenged everyone to build a one tile city. And this is something that I actually wanted to do in City Skylines 1 but never got around to it. And one thing about City Skylines 2, I'm very interested to see how this will go. So the challenge, the rules are very simple. We have 1 hour to build a city with as many people as we can, and no mods. It has to be vanilla, which is fine because I don't use mods anyway in City Skylines 2 as of yet, so no problems there. And I'm also going to challenge myself. I know I have the game on pause right now, but once I click play, I'm not going to pause the game anymore. I'm going to give myself 1 hour in real time and then just see what I can build. I might speed up the game, but I'm never going to pause it. So the one thing about this, though, is that a tile in City Skylines 1 is really, really small. Just for reference, let me show you some of the necessary city services that, we probably won't be able to put down. Even if you look at a high school, that's the size of a high school, or a college, or hospital, not to mention like a seaport. I mean, look at the cargo harbor. It's ridiculous. So there's really no way that we're going to be able to put any of these in here. And the one thing that's interesting about this map too is that there's no outside infrastructure connections besides this road. So we don't have any power, we don't have any water. We got to figure out how to get a power supply, get a water supply, and it is going to be a challenge. And I'm not going to expand this land out right here. I don't want to do that. I want to respect the topography, which is a City Planner Plays staple. So we are just going to go for it and start the clock in a second and see what we can do. I am very excited to do this. Just a little fun, very, very low-key, fun type of challenge for City Skylines 2, since the game itself, it's still a little bit of a work in progress. So anyway, without further ado, let me go ahead and start the timer, and we will get started in 3, 2, 1, let's go. All right, and so I'm actually very, very excited for this challenge. I've been wanting to do something like this in City Skylines 2 for a long time, since just kind of building a city has been a little bit difficult, a little bit mundane to say the least. It's fun to kind of, really test the game and see what you can do in terms of little challenges like this. And I know by now City Planner Plays has probably already released his version of this challenge, and I have not watched the video yet, and I'm not going to watch it until after I upload this because I don't want to watch it and be really sad, and then, because I'm sure he did way better than me, in terms of building something like this. But a couple things right off the bat, you'll notice I do have unlimited money and everything unlocked because I feel like you can't really, since this is a population-based challenge, I wanted to, and it's also timed, I wanted to not have any roadblocks other than, my own incompetence, as reasons why I couldn't get a good population in the time limit. So, and it wasn't clarified in the rules, so I don't, technically I'm not cheating. There was no rule about, whether or not you can unlock everything, but we'll see. Either way, it doesn't make it, that much easier, because at the end of the day, you need higher density to get a good population. So you kind of got to either unlock everything from the start or find some nifty way to get leveled up pretty quickly. So anyway, one mistake that I've already made in the first minute of this challenge is using roads. And what I should have done is use a bunch of the alleyways, because they take up half of the space as roads do. Roads are 2 tiles wide, the alleys are only 1. But I can justify this, I guess, by saying that the roads have parking, and you'll still want parking in your city, regardless of whether it's 1 tile or 50 tiles. People still need to park their cars. So it would be in everyone's benefit to still have roads, as opposed to, putting down some massive parking facility or something. So I guess it's not all that bad. But yeah, so right now, we are putting down some necessary infrastructure, which is pretty difficult because of the size of some of these buildings. Like right there, that's the recycling center. And the reason that I put down a recycling center over any other kind of waste management facility is because landfills are too big, and incinerators are too why can't I think of the word? They pollute too much. They're too polluting, I guess. Yeah, that's right. Yep. Okay. So anyway, yeah. So that's why I didn't put one of those down, because with a city of this size, there's no significant distance between a pollution source and any surrounding, residential. So I didn't want to have some kind of heavy polluting building, in this one tile. So that's why I opted for the recycling center, because it's clean and, it's fairly large, but not as large as the landfill. And then also, you notice I put down a water treatment plant. I could have just done the sewage outlet pipe, since I do have the water tower, and so we're not actually drawing water from the nearby coast. However, I didn't want to put down the sewage outlet pipe, because that's the only coast that we got, and why do we want to stare at a bunch of crap, in your waterway, looking out your window, living on the coastline. So just a little that's an aesthetic choice, although it's not functional for the purpose of this challenge. I just wanted to give my at least make the people in this tiny one tile city, I want them to be happy. So that's why I did that. But anyway, moving on, you'll notice that I'm putting down 2x2 buildings, and the reason I'm doing that is I think that is the smallest you can go aside from row houses. And so 2x2 medium density, you get 8. Let me remember. So I learned that you actually get 6 households on average with the 2x2 medium density buildings, but you get 8 by using mixed density zoning. So a mixed density zoned building on a 2x2 tile will have 8 households in it, whereas the same size building on a medium density residential zoning type will only have 6 households in that building. So it is advantageous in this challenge to actually use the mixed use as much as possible. But that's a problem, because we don't always have demand for medium density housing and commercial at the same time. So we kind of have to, you'll see throughout this episode, it's a little bit of a juggling act, right? Between putting down a little bit of low density, kind of slowly upgrading those areas to medium density, or putting down some low density commercial and then upgrading that to mixed use as the medium density housing demand increases, because the two don't always increase at the same time, in proportion. So we're kind of going between a few different zoning types here, just to bring people constantly into the city. It's important to just keep zoning, whatever zone that is, whether it's low density, medium density, high density. We just want to keep zoning, because we want to hit that population, and we only have an hour. And so that I forgot to mention, this video footage that you are seeing is everything just from start to finish. It was just an hour in real time, sped up, I think 250% in the editing software. So the only clips that I cut were clips where I had to save the game, because I was afraid of crashes, because inevitably that actually does sometimes happen. It happened in my last episode of City Skylines 2, even though the game is totally vanilla. Just I didn't want to lose all my progress, so I would pop out and save the game once in a while, and you don't need to stare at the pause screen. So I cut those like 2 or 3 instances out, but other than that, all of the footage is as is. There's nothing cut, no other editing, so you can really see like what I'm talking about, where I'm having to go back and kind of zone and rezone and build up these areas. So for this city, I still wanted to include some infrastructure and some necessary city services. So I could have gone the whole way without, putting down a school or putting down a fire department or police department. Although, without a fire department, that's a little risky, because if you get a fire, your whole city could burn down. But it could be, some big crime-ridden, uneducated place with no waste management facility or anything like that. And, I just didn't want to do that. I wanted to make, in the theme of, the way that I build cities regularly, I wanted to make a functional city. And that just so happens to be microscopic. So we do have a fire station, a police station, a school. Granted, it's only an elementary school, but we do have one. The high school is just, for the purposes of this, it's just too big. It wouldn't even make sense to put it in the city. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So at the very least, people will have a little bit of an education. Hopefully they can read and do some basic math. But that's fine. But yeah, so we still include some parks. Which I guess it could be argued that I included a couple too many, and I'm kind of wasting space. But again, I wanted to make something functional. Now, big mistake number 2 that you'll notice right now is right at the top of the screen, there's that giant specialized industry area, and that was a big mistake. For some reason, you know, that it's just so happens that this whole tile sits on on an oil deposit. So I wanted to actually take advantage of that oil deposit and see if it would, you know, actually benefit our city and create a nice amount of jobs or income, which is irrelevant because we have unlimited money on. But anyway, you know, that is just a waste of space. And actually, we end up correcting that later on in the episode, and you know, we make better use of that area, but a little bit too late in my opinion. So yeah, is what it is. But here's something cool. So I realized, you know, I have this one wind turbine producing about 5 megawatts of power, and I forgot that in this game you can upgrade stuff. So I'm like, hey, why don't I take a look at how, if there's any way to increase the power output of that wind turbine? And sure enough, you bump up the service budget, that increased it to about I think it was like 6.5 megawatts. So already we had a little bit more power, and then I went in and upgraded it. I actually was able to get it up to over 11 megawatts of power. So I more than doubled the output of the base, I guess, stock, you know, wind turbine. So that was really, really cool. And it, you know, allowed for some more city expansion because we have quite a bit to go and we don't want to be down on power. But yeah, here we go again. Just, you know, zoning out some 2x2 tiles. Again, I haven't done any, you know, thorough research to see if this is the actually the most dense building size, most effective building size for relative to population. You know, I'm sure there's somebody that's done that. As you know, like I said, I have not. So just it makes sense to me that the smallest building will, you know, be the most beneficial. But I mean, I could be totally wrong. Again, though, like I said about the medium density residential versus mixed use, it is more effective to use the mixed use when possible. So we try to do that as much as we can in this map. But for now, you know, I decided to drag out some alleyways kind of out this way because we were getting into kind of the outskirts. And so we kind of fill these areas with a few different things. You know, we kind of do some low density housing. We're fighting a massive commercial demand this entire time. So I've been trying to find places to put in commercial zones, and it seems like no matter how many I put, I never get, you know, any kind of dent in the demand. There's just this constant demand for commercial, which is interesting. And same thing with not residential. Well, residential, yeah, but industrial. You know, I have a really hard time finding space for some of these industrial zones, and I'm trying to keep a lot of the industry away from the residential as best as I can. That's why I'm putting it on the side of the map, right, currently the left side of the map where we're looking at right now. Now the top right, you know, all that by the recycling center and everything. You know, I'm trying to keep that area very industrial, mainly because of the wind direction. It'll blow the pollution away from the rest of the city. The pollution is kind of going towards the water and like over that way. So by putting everything on that side of the map, it'll really help kind of keep that industrial pollution away from all of the residents, which is important in a city of this size, because, you know, we want our residents to be happy, and that just makes the most sense. And so again, here dragging out some of the alleyways, getting away from the roads. This all becomes kind of, again, a mixture of low density residential and some commercial, I think, here and there. And I even end up putting some industrial over in that area. But this tile has kind of created a interesting road layout, if I'll say so, you know, myself. I kind of like this diagonal based. I mean, I guess it's really not a diagonal grid. It's a grid kind of at an angle relative to the coastline. But yeah, you know, working with the corners and stuff, we get some cool edges here and there. But yeah, we're still working on kind of building up the density over here. You can see I just put some mixed use down there, and it was actually really hard to get any high density. I feel like I just need to play this, you know, this map a little bit more to get some of the higher density demand. From the start, you know, I put down one building, and that's kind of all that they wanted. The second one became abandoned pretty early on. There was a demand for some offices, though, you know, for some commercial offices, which, again, something that I noticed in City Skylines 2, which was, it kind of bugged me about City Skylines 1, was the amount of jobs that a building of that size provides. I noticed that those two skyscrapers right there, those office skyscrapers right here, those things produce like 30 or 40 jobs. Whereas, I mean, it's like 20 or 30 stories tall. You know, it should have like hundreds and perhaps thousands of jobs available. But, you know, I guess everything's, you know, to scale, right? It's all kind of, it's a fine balance, I know. But in City Skylines 1, you know, you had mods like the population adjuster, or like the real population mod, where, you know, every low density home would have one household and, you know, 4 or 5 people, and then your suburbs basically took up your whole map because, you know, and then you would put down like 2 commercial buildings. So it with the way that the game works, it's kind of not the most realistic to have these huge employment centers like that. But, you know, I guess it's all kind of relative to how all the buildings work together, which is fine. It just makes me laugh a little bit, you know, how a building of that size only has like that many jobs. So it is what it is, but, you know, I guess it's all part of the design. So yeah, here we go. More mixed use zoning. Very, very important in this map. Really, really effective. I like it a lot. Yeah, I mean, what else have we got going on here? Let's, what else do we got? Yeah, here's some more industrial, as you can see. Yeah, I just ran out of space to put it. You know, I mean, obviously space was going to be a challenge in this challenge, and definitely was. And there's no high density industrial like there was, you know, in SimCity 4 or anything like that. It is just industry. So I don't know, again, if the size of the industrial buildings actually has any effect. You know, I kind of did a little bit of a mixture between big ones and small ones. I didn't really pay too much attention to it like I did with the residential and the commercial zones. When, you know, looking back, I probably could have, you know, tried to do some 2x2s. Maybe it would have been more effective. I'm not quite sure, but I do like these 2x2 residential buildings and stuff too, and the mixed use. I mean, it is just funny. It is funny to me that the mixed use buildings, I know they're a little bit taller aesthetically too, but it's funny that the mixed use buildings actually have more households than a dedicated residential building. I think that's just really interesting, and something that I'm going to keep in mind going forward if I want to make some, you know, more populated, denser, kind of medium density areas, you know, like maybe around a train station or something in some of my other cities. So something to keep in mind. But yeah, I forgot that you can't connect pathways to a roundabout. And I know, again, this is a waste of space, but I wanted just a nice little aesthetically pleasing waterfront rather than like putting the buildings right up against the water. And like I said in the beginning, I wanted to respect the topography and not actually change where the water sits. You know, I could have just like dragged the line out or dragged the land out to, you know, along the line of the along the border of this one tile and just completely filled the tile with land. But I didn't want to do that. I thought that kind of would be a little bit of a you know, of a cheat in a way. I don't know. I wanted to keep the coastline as it was and kind of build around that and just see how much I can get in this natural area. And not to mention, it would look kind of goofy, you know, as a thumbnail for a video if you just have this random right angle jutting out into, you know, like a big body of water. So it was whatever. I just wanted to leave it like this for now. But yeah, now kind of began the process of just quickly trying to upgrade zones where I could. And so this is like we're running out of space at this point. All of the residential areas have pretty much been filled. Now we're working on this coastline a little bit, filling in some of those areas with some higher density buildings. But, you know, aside from this area, but yeah, we quickly fill this with low density residential because the demand is so high. And then as that demand kind of tapers off, I've been going back like right here, dezoning and rezoning these with higher density buildings. So again, it would have been nice, you know, had I thought about the mixed use versus medium density residential at the time, it would have been nice to know that I should have just zoned mixed use from the start, because we were constantly finding this commercial demand, like I mentioned a little while ago. But yeah, I actually didn't really think about that until a little bit later on in the episode, where I kind of clicked at some of the buildings and, you know, I'm like, oh my gosh, mixed use has more households. So didn't know that going into this, but I know it now. So yeah, learned a couple things. Yeah, just adding some grass and trees, taking a second to kind of detail, which again is cutting into my time and probably shouldn't have done it. But I don't know, something about building the city, I wanted it to also look good. So I mean, I know it's a time population challenge. It doesn't hurt to throw in a couple trees and a couple of grass sidewalks on your roads to make them look a little bit better. But yeah, so we are desperately struggling for power at this point. I kind of had a feeling that was going to be my limiting factor. I didn't want to put a giant power plant because, again, we just didn't have the space for literally any of them except for the coal one, maybe. But it was just too much pollution. You know, I didn't want the pollution. And I actually found out something cool a little bit later on here that I didn't know about wind power plants as well. So, cool little nifty trick that I discovered, which really came in handy for the city. But yeah, power is our limiting factor. We have more than enough water with this one water tower. We didn't even touch the budget to increase it. We have more than enough garbage production, or not production, garbage management with the recycling center. So yeah, I don't like how that tennis court was encroaching on the space like that. It was just too much. There's a big concrete area, man. Kind of a waste of space, but yeah. So but we're running low on power right now, and so yeah, this is where I'm clicking around and going, oh wait, look at this. The mixed use actually have 8 households, and the apartments only have 6. So let's demolish them all and replace them with mixed use buildings so that people can shop and live, and we can get in the same place, and we can get a better population. So it's a win-win-win in my book. But yeah, trying to get rid of some of these, I don't know why I had those like 2x4 buildings here. Not smart. I think I even looked at those, and I think even on a per tile basis, the 2x2s are either just as effective. I think they're just as effective. I think proportionally they're just as effective. It's like 8. It comes out to 8 households for every, or I guess in that case, maybe I think the mixed use is still more effective. But anyway, I'll have to go back and look at that. Just ignore that. But just know that at the time it was a calculated decision to delete those 2x4s in order to get some more a better use of that space. I think it was like they had like 12 households maybe, where I could have had 16 with 2x2 mixed use buildings. I could have had 16 households versus one 2x4 that would have only had 12. So with those 8 tiles, it's a better use of the space to actually use a two 2x2 mixed uses. So I did think about that, and I'm pretty sure that's what I recall. But anyway, yeah, but the demand is increasing now, so we're able to pretty quickly zone out these medium density buildings now. And I know the demand right now is 0, but it jumps up again pretty quickly. And I even went and rezoned some of these old just strictly commercial areas. I wanted to rezone those to the mixed use as well, because I mean, if it's gonna increase our population, that is really the end goal for this challenge. So might as well use that space accordingly. So I think this is where I determined that it would be a great idea. Like, we needed a second power source, and there was no other option rather than deleting something and putting down another wind turbine. So what I actually end up doing in a second, which you'll see, is demolishing the specialized industry area that we had originally placed down, which again, not the smartest move, especially for this city. Just way too much space. Could have been using that space the whole time. Don't know why I did that. I guess I just did it because I'm like, oh, there's an oil deposit, so might as well. Maybe it'll make jobs. But regular industry makes jobs too, and we don't care about money. We don't care about production in this challenge. Don't know why I did it. So dumb. But anyway, we're gonna demolish that. We're gonna put down another wind turbine there, and we'll figure out. We'll learn something new about the game too. It's pretty nifty that I didn't realize. But yeah, as you'll know, there's no public transit in this city. There's no highway. There's no rail. There's no buses. I mean, I could have maybe done something like I couldn't have even done that. Everything needs a depot, whether it's metro, above ground, underground, buses, trams. They all needed some kind of depot. So there was really no option for public transit in the city, nor do people really need it. I would say that it's not entirely walkable, but you can get a pretty close to some travel between some areas pretty effectively, I would say, just via your feet. So no worries there. But yeah, so I put this down and then dragged out the power lines. And I had a little bit of an idea. I'm like, what if I try to drag out this road around it to make use of the space a little bit better? And I realized that zoning popped up. I was like, no way. This is really cool, right? So we could actually zone underneath the wind turbines. Who would have thought? Too bad we're run out of time. We only got a couple minutes left in the challenge, and I scrambled to zone this industry and make use of this space, but I wish I would have known this sooner. So with that being said, let's jump back into the live play, wrap it up, and I'll talk to you guys in a second. All right, and my hour timer just went off, and we have reached a small but not terrible population of about 2,400 people. So this was really fun, and I had a great time doing this. It is cool how much you can fit in a small city. I mean, look at that. That is literally microscopic. But there are some things that I learned about the game, and some cool things that I'll implement in the future and stuff going forward. But yeah, this was a ton of fun, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I wish I could have gotten, to upgrade these. I wish I could have gotten to fill out this area. Now that I kind of restructured some of the industry around here with this other wind turbine. So it'll be great to kind of come back to this in the future and see what I can really do. I might come back to this off camera and see just how big I can get this city, because we have no demand right now for any kind of high density, and I feel like in the future we might have some demand for that, well, hopefully. But yeah, even here, like, the traffic inflow is not congested, everybody's kind of moved in, so this is like a good point where we're at right now. So again, I had a great time building this. I challenge you guys to do the same. Go check out City Planner Plays. His post is on the community tab of his homepage. You can actually download this map. This was it's a base game map, I think, but it's a little bit edited to have this one tile with infrastructure and everything. So go ahead, give it a download, and comment if you guys do this, and what your population is. What you were able to achieve in this short amount of time, just the an hour time span of building. And yeah, again, hope you guys have a fantastic week. I'll catch you guys back to our regularly scheduled programming pretty soon in the next episode of City Skylines 1 or City Skylines 2. Haven't really decided yet, but it'll be one of those. Maybe City Skylines 1. I've been having a blast with that game lately, so I'll get back into that for a little bit. But anyway, have a great rest of your week, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Peace out.